Day 190, Exile, 2 Kings 24, 2 Chronicles 35, Proverbs 8 verses 22 through 36. Let's begin. 2 Kings 24. During his days, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, ascended, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years. And again he rebelled against him. And the Lord sent to him the robbers of the Chaldeans, and the robbers of Syria, and the robbers of Moab, and the robbers of the sons of Ammon. And he sent them into Judah, so that they might destroy it, in accord with the word of the Lord, which he had spoken through his servants, the prophets. Then this occurred by the word of the Lord against Judah, that he took him away from before himself because of all the sins of Manasseh which he did, and because of the innocent blood which he shed, and because he filled Jerusalem with the slaughter of the innocent. And for this reason, the Lord was not willing to be appeased. But the rest of the words of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, have these not been written in the book of the words of the days of the kings of Judah? And Jehoiakim slept with his fathers. And Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his place. And the king of Egypt no longer continued to go out from his own land. For the king of Babylon had taken all that had belonged to the king of Egypt, from the river of Egypt as far as the river Euphrates. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he had begun to reign, and he reigned for 3 months in Jerusalem. The name of his mother was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan, from Jerusalem. And he did evil before the Lord, in accord with all that his father had done. At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, ascended against Jerusalem. And the city was encircled with fortifications. And Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, went to the city, with his servants, so that he might fight against it. And Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he, and his mother, and his servants, and his leaders, and his eunuchs. And the king of Babylon received him, in the 8th year of his reign. And he took from there all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the house of the king. And he cut up all the gold vessels which Solomon, the king of Israel, had made for the temple of the Lord, in accord with the word of the Lord. And he carried away all of Jerusalem, and all the leaders, and all the strong men of the army, 10,000, into captivity, with every artisan and craftsman. And no one was left behind, except the poor among the people of the land. Also, he carried away Jehoiakim into Babylon, and the mother of the king, and the wives of the king, and his eunuchs. And he led into captivity the judges of the land, from Jerusalem to Babylon. And all the robust men, 7,000, and the artisans and craftsmen, 1,000, all who were strong men and fit for war. And the king of Babylon led them away as captives, into Babylon. And he appointed Mattaniah, his uncle, in his place. And he imposed the name Zedekiah upon him. Zedekiah held 21 years of life when he had begun to reign. And he reigned for 11 years in Jerusalem. The name of his mother was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah, from Libnah. And he did evil before the Lord, in accord with all that Jehoiakim had done. For the Lord was angry against Jerusalem and against Judah, until he cast them away from his face. And so Zedekiah withdrew from the king of Babylon. 2 Chronicles 35. Now Josiah kept the Passover to the Lord in Jerusalem, and it was immolated on the 14th day of the first month. And he appointed the priests in their offices, and he exhorted them to minister in the house of the Lord. Also, he spoke with the Levites, by whose instruction all of Israel was sanctified to the Lord, saying, Place the ark in the sanctuary of the temple, which Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel, built. For never again shall you carry it. Instead, now you shall minister to the Lord your God, and to his people Israel. And prepare yourselves by your houses and families, within each division, just as David, the king of Israel, instructed, and just as his son Solomon has written. And minister in the sanctuary, by the Levitical families and companies. And having been sanctified, immolate the Passover. And then prepare your brothers, so that they may be able to act in accord with the words which the Lord has spoken by the hand of Moses. After this, Josiah gave to all the people, those who had been found there at the solemnity of the Passover, 30,000 lambs and young goats from the flocks, and other kinds of small cattle, and also 3,000 oxen. All these were from the substance of the king. Also, his rulers offered what they had vowed freely, as much for the people as for the priests and Levites. Moreover, Hilkiah, and Zechariah, and Jehiel, rulers of the house of the Lord, gave to the priests, in order to observe the Passover, 2,600 small cattle, and 300 oxen. And Conaniah, with Shemaiah and Nethanel, his brothers, indeed also Hashabiah and Jeiel and Jozabad, rulers of the Levites, gave to the rest of the Levites, in order to celebrate the Passover, 5,000 small cattle, and 500 oxen. And the ministry was prepared. And the priests stood in their office, and the Levites also stood in their companies, according to the order of the king. And the Passover was immolated. And the priests sprinkled the blood with their hand, and the Levites drew away the pelts of the holocausts. And they put these aside, so that they might give them to each one, by their houses and families, and so that they might be offered to the Lord, just as it was written in the book of Moses. And with the oxen they acted similarly. And they roasted the Passover above fire, in accord with what was written in the law. Yet truly, the victims of peace offerings they boiled in cauldrons and kettles and pots. And they promptly distributed these to all the common people. Then afterward they made preparations for themselves and for the priests. Indeed, the priests had been occupied in the oblations of the holocausts and the fat offerings, even until night. Therefore, the Levites made preparations for themselves and for the priests, the sons of Aaron, last. Now the singers, the sons of Asaph, were standing in their order, according to the instruction of David, and of Asaph and Heman and Jeduthun, the prophets of the king. Truly, the porters kept watch at each gate, so as not to depart from their ministry even for one moment. And for this reason, their brothers, the Levites, prepared foods for them. And so, the entire worship ritual of the Lord was completed on that day, so that they observed the Passover and offered holocausts upon the altar of the Lord, in accord with the precept of King Josiah. And the sons of Israel, who had been found there, kept the Passover at that time, with the solemnity of unleavened bread, for 7 days. There was no Passover similar to this one in Israel, from the days of Samuel the prophet. And neither did anyone, out of all the kings of Israel, keep such a Passover as did Josiah, the priests and Levites, and all those of Judah and Israel who had been found, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the 18th year of the reign of Josiah, this Passover was celebrated. After Josiah had repaired the temple, Necho, the king of Egypt, ascended to fight at Carchemish, beside the Euphrates. And Josiah went out to meet him. But he sent messengers to him, saying, "What is there between me and you, O king of Judah? I have not come against you today. Instead, I am fighting against another house, to which God instructed me to go promptly. Refrain from acting against God, who is with me, otherwise he may kill you." Josiah was not willing to return. Instead, he prepared for war against him. Neither would he agree to the words of Necho from the mouth of God. In truth, he traveled so that he might do battle in the field of Megiddo. And there, having been wounded by archers, he said to his servants, "Lead me away from the battle, for I have been severely wounded." And they took him from the chariot, into another chariot which was following him, as was the custom of kings. And they transported him to Jerusalem. And he died, and he was buried in the mausoleum of his fathers. And all of Judah and Jerusalem mourned for him. Most of all Jeremiah. All the singing men and women repeat his lamentations over Josiah, even to the present day. And this has become like a law in Israel. Behold, it is found written in the Lamentations. Now the rest of the words of Josiah, and his mercies, which were instructed by the law of the Lord, and also his works, the first and the last, have been written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. Proverbs 8 verses 22 through 36. The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his ways, before he made anything, from the beginning. I was ordained from eternity, and out of antiquity, before the earth was formed. The abyss did not yet exist, and I was already conceived, neither had the fountains of waters yet erupted. The mountains, with their great mass, had not yet been established. Before the hills I was brought forth. Still he had not made the earth, and the rivers, and the poles of the globe of the earth. I was already present, when he prepared the heavens, when, with a certain law and a circuit, he fortified the abyss. When he made firm the sky above, and set free the fountains of waters. When he encompassed the sea within its limits, and laid down a law for the waters, lest they transgress their limits, when he weighed the foundations of the earth. I was with him in composing all things. And I was delighted, throughout every day, by playing in his sight at all times. Playing in globe of the earth. And my delight was to be with the sons of men. Therefore, sons, hear me now. Blessed are those who preserve my ways. Listen to discipline, and become wise, and do not be willing to cast it aside. Blessed is the man who listens to me, and who stands watch at my gates every day, and who observes at the posts of my doors. He who finds me, finds life, and he will draw salvation from the Lord. But he who sins against me will wound his own soul. All who hate me love death.